We're live, sir.
SHALAM, which means Israel.
Upon one of those, we turn face peace. We're going to do the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. It's the Lord's Prayer. Abanawa. Bashamaya. Dash. Shamka. Yahawah. I.S.U.P.K.
Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
Prayer for Yahawah. Ba'ashim Yahushua. Baba Kushah. The thunder down.
Yahawah in the name Yahushua. Please give us the power. The power to heal. All manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the lepers. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name Yahushua.
Thank
Thank you. So be it.
So be it. Let's pray to bless Israel. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
I.S.U.P.K.
I.S.U.P.K.
Barak Lanah.
YAHANNA. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh, bless us, and Israel, and the school, in the name of Yahweh. Thank you. So be it.
Pray for the blessings. Pray for the blessings. Barakatah Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh. And Yahweh. And Michael. And the angels. Commander General YAHANNA. The generals. The captains. The officers. And the troopers. And the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh. Thank you. So be it.
It's Psalm 121 in the Hebrew. I.S.U.P.K.
I will lift up my eyes into the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord. Who made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out, and thy coming in. From this time forth, and even forevermore.
Psalm 83 in the Hebrew. Al-Hayyam, Al-Dalayamaka, Al-Dakarash, Al-Dashakwat, YAHANNA, Al-YAHANNA, Yahaman, Yawan, Ra'ash, Isupk, Yara'aywa, Sawadah, Wayatha, Atazapawanyaka, Amorwa, Lakawa, Walakakiyam, Magawa, Wala'ah, Ashikor, Sham Yasha'ala, Iwada, Kaya, Nawatazawa, Labah, Barakakwa, Auyaka, Warya, Rakakwa, Al-Hayyah, Al-Awam, Wayashimai, Al-Yum, Mawa'aba, Wahagori, Wabor, Wa'aynawan, Aymalak, Palasa, Abyashabya, Tazawar, Gamashawa, Nawaf, Hayawa, Zarwat, Lapunyalawat, Salah, Aishalahum, Amadyan, Kasiyah, Sarat, Kayabyan, Banakab, Yashwan, Nashamadwa, Banayan Dawa, Haywa, Daman, Baladadma, Shayatamwa, Nada, Yabawa, Kara, Wakaza Abba, Wakaza Bak, Wakata Zalmanai, Kal Nasia Kunwa, Ashore, Amorwa, Narasha, Manawa, Nawah, Al-Hayam, Al-Hayat, Shayatumwa, Kagagula, Kakwash, Lapanya Raka, Ka'ash, Saba Iria, Walakat, Wa Kalabah, Kalahat, Hari, Khan, Naradadma, Basa Irika, Wabasa Wapaka, Dabalalum, Mala, Onyahum, Kwalawan, Wayabakwashwa, Shamka, Yabashwa, Wayabahawa, Aya, Wayakaporwa, Wayabadwa, Wayagaiwa, Shamka, Yahawa, Abadka, Aliwan, Akarazza.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
For lo, thy enemies make a tumult. And they that hate thee. Have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel. Against thy people. And consulted. Against thy hidden one. They have said, come. And let us cut them off. From being a nation. And the name of Israel. May be no more. And remember. For they have consulted together. With one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom. And the Ishmaelites. Of Moab. And the Hagarenes. Gabal. And Ammon. And Amalek. The Philistines. With the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also is joined with them. They have been hoping the children of Lot. Say, Lot, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kishon, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. They did nobles like Oreb, and like Ziel. Yea, all their princes, as Zabah, and as Zamuna, who said, let us take to ourselves the house of Yahweh, in possession. Oh my power, make them like a wind, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burned the wood, and as the flames set the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, and they may seek thy name. O Yahweh, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yet, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, are the Most High over all the earth.
So, Shabbat, community too. I'll take the first 7 games. But to go to Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 8 in the Hebrew. Deuteronomy Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 8. Kaya, Thaban, Slakia, Thabana, Bayatha, Bayat, Kadash, Wa'aisha, Gath, Mataza, Kwak, Laga, Gada, La'a, Fashawan, Daman, Damayam, Bayaka, Kaya, Yapau, Kaya, Yapau, Ha, Na, Ha, Mawa, Manawa, verse 9, La'a, Kaz, Tazara, Kara, Maka, Kara, Mola, Kal, Afyam, Anahan, Kadash, Hamala'ath, Hazara'ah, Ashor, Thazara'ah, Wathakah, Wathaba'ath, Akab, Akar, verse 10, La'ah, Fa Kadash, Bashara, Wabaka, Wakal, Mawar, Ya Kadashwa, verse 11. La'a, Thalabash, Sha'af, Nazar, Tazamor, Wapashyam, Yahadawa, verse 12. Layam, Fashaha, Akat, Arabaya, Kanga, Kaga, Wa, Kama, Kasa, Kasa, Ashor, Faka, Sa'af, verse 13. Kaya, Yakwa, Kaya, Yaka, Ayasha, Asha, Waba'a, Alahaya, Washana'a, verse 14. Sham. Washam, La'a, it's like La'a, La'a. Allah, Ya, La, Daba, Dawayam, Waha, Wataza, Yawak, Allah, Ya, Sham, Ra'ai, Wa, Mor, Ah, Hara, Ah, Haza, Ah, La Kada, Ya, Wa Akra, Allah Ya, Wa Wala'a, Mataza A, Ya, Laha, Batha, Wa Yam. Oh, wait, 15?
No, 14.
Yeah. Come in, can you read it in English? Deuteronomy 22 verse 8.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 8. When thou buildest a new house, then thou shalt make a battlement for thy roof, that thou bring not blood upon thine house, if any man fall from thence. This scripture, I heard somebody a little while ago say that this scripture, they apply that this scripture means that you have to build any house any Israelite builds you have to have a fence, a battlement, a fence at the edges of the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And on a base level, that's what it sounds like it's saying. But when you read it from the top one more time. When thou buildest a new house, then thou shalt make a battlement for thy roof. When you build a new house, meaning not just any house you live in, but when you build a new house, when you're building a house, you got to put a battlement upon your roof. Meaning while you're building the house, you got to have some protection, a fence around the roof. So go ahead. That thou bring not blood upon thine house. So then that way you're protecting yourself. So when you build a house, you don't fall over and die. And now, somebody died inside your house. That's what that scripture means. It doesn't mean that you have to have a fence around your house to have a house as an Israelite. But it does mean that while you build a house, you should set up those barriers to protect yourself and not die when you jump in the house. Right. If any man fall from thence. Verse 9. Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with divers seeds, lest the fruit of thy seed which thou hast sown, and the fruit of thy vineyard be defiled. So you don't want to put different types of seeds together in the same plots, essentially. So you got one piece of land for grapes, one piece of land for oranges, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Good. Thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together. Now, verse 11. Thou shalt not wear a garment of divers sorts. Thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together, meaning specifically plowing is when you farming, when you essentially prepare the ground to plant food. So the land you for farming on may be rough. It may not be good enough to be able to plant a seed in it. So what you got to do is you got to come through. In ancient times, they would come through with a plow that was powered by animals. So they would take two oxes, put them in the plow. So you put like it's kind of hard to explain like a picture. You put almost something that goes on their shoulders, and behind them is a rope that's pulling a blade that's cutting through the ground. And then when they would cut to the ground, they would make the ground soft enough, essentially make it soft enough, so you could plant seed in the ground. This scripture is saying that you can't, one more time, verse 10. Verse 10, thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together. The scripture is saying that when you plow, make sure you don't do it with an ox and an ass and a donkey. Make sure you do it either with a donkey, two donkeys, or two oxen. Verse 11, thou shalt not wear a garment of divers sorts, as a woolen and linen together. Don't wear a garment of diverse sorts. Many people would say that. I heard the scripture a lot when people want to prove that it's impossible to follow the Bible.
Right.
They pull scriptures like this and as their means to say, well, you know, you wear wool and polyester, so it's impossible to follow the scripture. But here in this I.S.U.P.K through Christ, we understand better the spirit behind, the reasoning behind scriptures like this, and it has to do with buying and selling. It has to do with somebody in the day and time when people would make their own clothes, frequently sell their own clothes. The spirit behind it is that I shouldn't sell Yediah something that I'm telling him is 100% wool, and it's actually wool and linen, because wool and cotton. But I'm telling him it's 100% sheep's wool. I'm getting 100% sheep's wool shirt I'm about to give you, but in reality, it's wool and cotton.
Right.
That's the spirit behind this.
If I make sure I can expound on that, like to put it in more like lame term, like in today's world. Let's say you out there, you want to go and get yourself what y'all want to do. You want Prada, you want Ferragamo. Let's say, you know what I mean, you go to the Ferragamo store, they sell you, you know what I mean, a nice shirt. And you find out, you know what I mean, that shirt wasn't made out of 100% of material that Ferragamo used. You find it's polyester, cotton, and all other type of stuff. And now you got people clowning like, oh man, that don't fake, that don't made 100% Ferragamo. You out here wearing Gucci's, you ain't got on Gucci. It's the same thing. Well, it's not brotherly, you know what I mean? If I sell a wool, a garment, you know what I mean? I tell them it's 100% cotton. It's polyester, and it got this and that. You know, it got linen, it got a little bit of everything. I can't do that. That's all.
You can read on. Verse 12. Thou shalt make thee fringes upon the four quarters of thy vesture, wherewith thou coverest thyself. For the fringes, another piece that you learn, the fringes could go on as a reminder of us to follow the law. These fringes go on our garments, like you see me and Yediah wearing, by of course. These fringes don't have to go on every single article of clothing that you own, but they do go on your priestly garments. They do go on the garments, on the things that you wear to represent the Most High, to represent your culture. No, they don't go on every T-shirt, your drawers, and your socks, but they do go on the priestly garments, the things that are holy, not just anything you will wear any day. You know, verse 13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, if any man takes a wife, a man gets married, he has sex, he marries that woman, he goes under her, and eventually he begins to hate the woman. Go ahead. Verse 14, and give occasions of speech against her. And he gives an occasion to speak, so he hates her, and his reason for hating her is this. And bring up an evil name upon her. You know? And say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. This brother is saying that he laid down with a woman, and after he laid down with her, he began to hate her because he realized that this woman was not a maid. And he laid down with this woman, he realized that she had, or he believed that she had sex before, essentially. And that's why he's angry, and he's bringing up an occasion, and he's accusing her of something that's very, violent in Israelite culture, which is that had already previously had sex with somebody, and then another man comes along and unknowingly has sex with you as well, and you're already married, you're already bound to somebody else. So he's bringing up an occasion or accusation that this sister previously already was married, already had sex with somebody. He was under the assumption that, he was going to be the first person she had sex with.
I can expound on what you said. The cap or y'all bring out is just so heavy, and that is, you know what I mean, a heinous accusation for this reason. It was taboo in our culture for women to be whores. Right. You know what I mean? Let's say this woman is betrothed, meaning she was promised to this brother. And imagine if you go and you lay down with this woman, you paid that dowry. You know what I mean? You got to pay that dowry in Israel if you want that sister. You go to the father, you pay that dowry, you court her, and you marry her because sex is marriage. And then you find her not to be a maid. You're like, hold up. She ain't agreed. She wasn't a virgin. What's going on? Meaning she was already married. Now, she already had sex with somebody else, right? What does that make you? You know what I mean? If you went into her. Now, if you went under her and did not know, you know what I mean? Of course you're going to be upset. Because if you go into a woman that's already married, that already had sex, you essentially having sex with a woman that's already married. And that's what makes this accusation so intense and so serious. Because this is a heavy thing, especially that goes on in our culture today. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to live their own life. You know what I mean? Sisters will tell you, well, I'm single, I don't got no man. And next thing you know, you go into her, and next thing you know, you find out with that. She's like, well, I do got a baby daddy. You got a man, I do got, you know, 3 side niggas. You're gonna be looking at her like, well, goddamn. Well, the Lord put right here and saying, listen, that if you go unto her, you know, you bring up an evil name against her. I took this woman and I came to her and find her not a maid. That is a heavy accusation. Because it's like, well, damn, I came into this marriage believing, you know what I mean, that you was with nobody else, that it's just gonna be me and you. And it turns out you went on and had sex with somebody else. And we're gonna read, you know what I mean, what was the penalty if that was to be true.
Right. Yeah, last thing you call this brother up, and I was saying, it's part of it, the backdrop to this is that in Israelite culture, a man traditionally would, when he has a daughter, when she's of age, when she's ready to marry, he would marry her off to a brother, and him and that brother would come to an agreement on what he would have to do to be with that sister. And like I said, traditionally, that sister wouldn't have been with anybody else before. That would be the man she married, and then the only person she was supposed to be with, because anybody she's with, she got to get permission from her father first, and that's Israelite culture. And if a brother, like I said, the guy like we bring it out, the brother laid down, he made a deal with the father, so I'm gonna give you this, I'm going to be able to take her as my wife. If he made that deal, and then you go to have sex with her, all of a sudden she might have had sex before. That's of course that's now we're going down the line of maybe the sister, the sinner, or somebody's line about the deal that we previously made. Yeah, man, James, you come for the first. You gonna state your reverence. You gonna tell me for your name, Bun, meaning son of. You're Judah. I know you're ready to try. Judah. You're gonna say your name, Bun, which is son of Yahawada, which is Judah in Hebrew. Bun, Yashala, Israel in Hebrew. So your name, Bun, Yahawada, Bun, Yashala.
James, Bun, Yahawada, Bun, Yashala.
James, Bun Yahawada, Bun Yashala.
Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shabrakatah.
Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shabrakatah. Do you know the Hebrew at all? This is why I'm going to read it to you. This is what you know.
How are you with the Hebrew, James? The alert. I'll take the next 7, sir.
All right.
Book of Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 15. We'll read down to verse 21. Book of Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 15 in the Hebrew. Wala kwa. It's like wala kada. It's like wala kaka. Waka. It's like abaya, hana ar, wa'ama, wataza ya, afwa, bakal, laya, hana ar, al, zadanaya, ha'ayara, hasha afra, verse 16. Wa'amara. It's like wa'amor. So wa'amor. Abaya. Hana ar. Al. Haza kwa nayam. Af. Bakafya. Natha YAHANNA, verse 17. YAHANNA, Hara'a, Shum, Alaya, Ilatha, Daban Rayam, La Mor, La'a, Mataza Afya, Laba, Labataka, Batha wa Layam, wa La'a, Batha wa Laya, Bathya, wa Parashaf, wa Hashama La'a, Hashama La'a, Laganaya, Shakwanaya, Ha'ayara, verse 18. Wala Kakwa, Zakwanaya, Ha'ayara, Hawa'a, Ha'ayash, Wayam, Wawa, Afwa, verse 19. Wa'ayashawa, Afwa, Afa, Kasak, Ka, Masak, Wa, Lafa, Noah, La'abaya, Hana, Haratha, Kaya, Hawataza ya Sham, Ra'a, Al, Batha, Wa, Tha, Yasha'ala, Walawa, Saha, Yaha, La, Asha, La'a, Yawakal, La Shaka, Laka, Kal, Yamayawa, verse 20. Wa'ama, Matha, Haya'a, Hadabar, Azaha, La'a, Namataza, Afwa, Batha, wa, Layam, Lana, or, verse 21. Wataza ya Afwa, Hana, Al, Patha, Bayatha, Abayaha, Wasa, Aya, Ayaraha, Bayam, Wamatha, Wamatha, Kaya, Aishafa, Nabaha, Balalaha, Bayasha, out, Lazana, Lasamwa, Baya, Abayaha, Wabaka, Hara, Hara'a, Makar, Ra, 21, and the 21 says, Makra, Ra, Makam, verse 22. Come on.
So you take it up to go to verse 22 and 15. No, sorry, 14 is for the second. Break that. 22 and 14. Cut.
Deuteronomy 22 and 14. And give occasions of speech against her, and bring up evil name upon her. Instead, it said, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid.
Like we said, his brother laid down. He laid down with his sister. He was trying to marry his sister, or married his sister, and he found that she was not. She may have had sex before. Typically, he would know that because the sister didn't bleed when he went into it. Typically, that's how he would know whether or not she was actually a maid, a damsel, or traditionally what we would say today a virgin, a woman who hasn't never had sex before. We don't.
Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate.
The tokens of the damsel's virginity. So when that accusation comes down, when that brother comes and he goes to that father, he starts telling people around the town, I took sister so and so, I went to go marry her because she had sex before. I thought she never been with a man, but apparently she had sex before. The father and the mother, the sister's family that's being accused of this, they'll come forth with the tokens of the damsel virginity. Does anybody know what that is? Or can guess what that is? Go ahead, Bob.
The bloody sheets.
Exactly. The tokens of the damsel virginity are the bloody sheets. And traditionally, well, what happened is this is a law, but tradition. A brother, once he has sex with a sister, and like I said, usually first time a sister has sex, she bleeds. When that blood touches those sheets, the husband, he goes back to the family, to the father of that woman with the bloody sheets as like proof, almost like a receipt almost. Like, this is proof that I had sex with her. We're married now. We're together. And here's the proof of it. And like I said, it's like a receipt. It's like proof that what happened. Here it is. You know. So, like I said, once the accusation comes up, the family or the father of that woman will come with the tokens of her virginity, which is a bloody sheet. A bloody sheet, they say, is proof showing that you had sex with this woman and you gave me the bloody sheet as proof that you had sex with her, and this was in fact her first time having sex. You know.
And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her.
And hated her.
Hated her.
You know?
And lo, he hath given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city.
Now, it's saying, and lo, he had given occasions of speech against her. Now, we put it in terms, he's like, well, damn, James. He's like, I done gave my daughter to this man, and I got the tokens, I got the receipts. My daughter was a virgin. He going to the elders of the city, he going to the Levites and saying, my Lord, listen, I gave this brother, my daughter, He's saying that she was a whore. He's saying that she slept with somebody else. But lo and behold, this right here is the token. This is the bloody sheets right here. What's going on with this brother? Which goes to show you this, man, and why it's important, man, to train a child up in a way that is right and they will depart. Because if you understand that you instill in your daughter, right? You know what I mean? If you only supposed to be with one man and that sex is marriage, you know what I mean? Even if somebody does come up and can't stand her for whatever reason, or he makes, calls to have speech against her, hate speech against her, and to cause occasion against her, guess what? If you raise that daughter upright and she only been with that one brother and you got the tokens to show for it, that shows that you did what you had to do as a father. And that you did bring up a righteous daughter because she knows sex is marriage. Now this brother about to be looking crazy because the father got the tokens of his daughter's virginity, man. He went out there and spread it, for all the elders to see. Now we about to read what the elders are getting ready to do to this brother. You read on, Isaiah.
And the elders of the city shall take that man and chastise him. Chastise him.
You know what chastise means? If I make that, you know what chastise means? My nigga, come here. Come here, nigga. You ain't gotta. I can tell what type of father of war it is. I said, nigga, he came right up with his head down and just you already know that look. He's like, brother, come here. What the hell is wrong with you, man? What the hell is wrong with you? What's going on in your mind, man? You know damn well this woman only been with you, man. Why the hell would you accuse her of this? They cussing this brother out, chastising him for good reasons. Because that's a heavy accusation to accuse this father, of his daughter being a whore, when he had tokens to show, no, she only been with you, she's not a whore. That may got something up with you. Who knows what it is? Maybe he laid down and was like, no, I don't really want to be with her. Now, I don't really like her. It maybe wasn't that good, but at the same time, it goes to show you, especially in the UPK, why we got the 1 year rule, why you got to take the time, to get to know the system. And sister, you got to take that time to get to know that brother and come to the decision to realize, is this the brother, is this the sister that I want to spend the rest of my life with? Because you can't go and lay down with that sister and be like, you know what, I don't want to be with her for the rest of my life. Let me go to Captain Ariana, let me go to your dad and say, well, Slaggy, sir, I think that woman, is the Lord. I think, she was out here messing around. She got her OnlyFans, sir. She got her OnlyFans. And I'll be like, brother, the sister wasn't a virgin. Now, she ain't never, been with another man. What's wrong with you? What's going on? You got to chastise you now. Which goes to show you, man, why it's important to do your due diligence, man, to get to know one another. But you see how important this Bible is? The Lord set up laws, man, for what, needs to be done if this situation was ever to occur. You got to look at the law of the land of Esau. Esau don't give a damn. Your wife, in the world, according to Esau's standards, can go out, have an OnlyFans, have sex with everybody on the block, and she gonna get half of what you get. Crazy, ain't it? But this is why it's important for us to come back to our customs and our laws, and the Lord has laid it down flat right here. The elders have to chastise this man. Now they gotta be like, come here, what you doing, bro? Why you out here, bearing false witness against this sister like that, accusing her of being a whore, and you know she ain't no whore. That's a read on. Unless you want to raise
we read on verse 19.
And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon the virgin of Israel.
And that brother who made this accusation, if the accusation is proven to be false, and he did lay her down in this woman, and he was the first man she was ever with, he's going to be, it says he's going to be immersed in 100 shekels of silver. Well, can anybody guess what it means when he said that brother's going to be immersed in 100 shekels of silver? Exactly. He's going to be fined for what he did. They're going to tell that brother, you got to give 100 shekels, and you got to pay that money to the father for lying and make that accusation up. Go ahead.
I have a question. So, how does it work if you marry someone from a woman from the world? Like she's been in the world and just comes to the truth, but she's no longer a virgin.
Okay, well, typically, this is the smart thing to do. Typically, any woman that you meet in the world, if you're serious about being in the truth, you got to make sure that she is willing to come to the truth with you. Typically, now that doesn't mean you have to be with a woman in the truth. You can be with a woman that she might just want to be with you. She might not really be into the whole Israelite thing, and the whole nights and strip thing. But she just want to be with you, And as long as she's willing to be with you, that's fine. As long as she's not, pouring on you, that's fine. But typically, the best thing for any brother to do is to, if you meet a woman in the world, tell her to come here. So, or teach her yourself and build her up so she can accept the Most High. And that's the best thing to do. That's the best thing to do. You necessarily, and you may, like you said, this is a sister who may have already been around, already had sex before, but you still may want to go to her father just as a kind gesture. You ain't got to give no money or nothing like that, because there's a woman that had sex before. But you just out of respect may want to meet her parents, get their blessing before you decide to take the sister seriously. But that's typically what you would do. You would try to bring that sister into our culture, into the fold, and like I said, this is as more of a gesture, more of just symbolically. Just go to her parents, go to her father if she has a father, or she maybe or whoever raised her, whoever was around, and go to them and ask for their blessings to be with their daughter. Come, I think so. You get my point? Yeah. You can read them.
And she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days.
And that brother, he got to pay that fine to the family. He got to pay that fine to the father. And after that, he got to be with that woman. Like the guy was bringing her. After that, you stuck. You should have thought about whether or not you want to be with her before you had sex. If you had sex, you did it. That's yours. You was the only man she was with. You're her husband. And you stuck with her now. And then now they got to move on with the rest of their life. They're together. Read on in verse 20.
But if this thing be true,
if it comes up that the brother was right, and they can't, and the brother was right about his accusation.
And the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel.
And the family, they can't produce any proof, because they were never given any proof. They were never given the token of virginity. There was never no blood hit the sheets of it. There's no way they can prove that this sister never been with a man before, or prove that she wasn't with somebody else besides him. Read on.
Then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die.
And then that sister is going to be sentenced to death. Read on.
Because she had wrought folly in Israel, to play the whore in her father's house, so shalt thou put evil away from among her.
That sister is a whore. That sister is somebody that was sleeping around with multiple men, or slept with multiple men. And she's going to be put to death for being a whore, and bringing folly and strife and confusion among Israel. And somebody like that, they got to be put away from the rest of us.
I add something. You know what's heavy about this, right? Like, read it again. Read 21 again.
Then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones, that she die, because she hath brought folly in Israel.
Now, she brought folly in Israel, meaning this being a whore, you know what I mean, is taboo in our culture. And you're not supposed to be a whore. You know, in today's society, they encourage our sisters. That's why you got Meg Thee Stallion, you got Cardi B, you got who else? Sweetie, you got Holy LeBray, you got all these sisters, you know what I mean, playing the whore, and they promoting that to our women, when that shouldn't be allowed, period. That shouldn't even be allowed, like, in our culture. Like I said, you brought folly in Israel. Read on.
To play the whore in her father's house.
You're not supposed to play the whore in your father's house. Your father is not raising you to be no whore. Point blank, period. And that's something, you know what I mean, our sisters have to understand. And I'll take it a step further. Brother, you're not supposed to be a whoremonger. You ain't supposed to be out here loving it, and marrying whores and throwing them away. And sis, you're not supposed to be a whore yourself. But in today's society, I don't know what it is, Cap, but they find power. Like, it's empowering to be a whore. When in reality, you ever wonder why you're so miserable? Why you can't find the right brother? Why things just won't work out for you? Because you're disobeying what our God said to do. Our God said not to be a whore. Deuteronomy 23:17, paraphrasing, It said there shall be no whores of the daughters of Israel. Meaning, if you black, Hispanic, or First Nation, being a whore, that's a no. You ain't supposed to be a whore. Like you gotta put that evil from amongst you.
Right, yeah, like Dad is saying, so many women and the people in general in this society believe, being sexually free and having sex with whoever and how many people you want to is liberating, and it's a good thing to do, and it's something that everybody should do at least for a time in their life. But going out, a woman being a whore, all it's going to do is destroy her. She's just going to build up baggage and trauma off of that, and that's all that happens. In our community, in our culture, we should shun anybody that does it. And then now today, because of Christ, we ain't gonna go around killing whores. We ain't gonna go do that. We ain't gonna physically harm them, but what we should do, and what we do have the power to do as a people today, is to shun those people. Don't praise those people that are whores. But now it's the exact opposite. If you're a whore, you're praised. You're famous. Like all the women that you got named, every female rapper is famous, and they really can't be famous for the most part unless they're a whore, unless they portray the image of a whore. And that's why our community is so destroyed, because those are the people that we live up to. Whores and homosexuals and drug addicts and murderers. But those people need to be shunned from our community. They don't need to be accepted. They don't need to be praised or supported. Those people should be shunned. That's somebody that you shouldn't want to hang around. You shouldn't want to do business with. In our community, those people should be ostracized and not accepted. Right. That's what we have the power to do today under Christ. And then as a community, people will learn that if I can't be accepted as this, maybe I should do something different. Mm-hmm. If I can't be accepted by my friends and my family, maybe I should do something different. Maybe I should follow God rather than following America. Follow the Most High rather than following Satan. All right.
Hey, one small thing. What Cap Ariana bringing out so heavy. Could you imagine, like, as a group, like as the majority of brothers, and we just shun whores in general? Like on Twitter, they got something where I don't know if you ever seen it, Isaiah. Like on Twitter, sometimes sisters, they post pictures of themselves, right? And I remember one brother posted under the picture and was like, because there was a lot of brothers there. He said, I see a lot of brothers in this sister's comments when she got her ass out. Can any of y'all brothers help me? Change my tires. It's my first time doing it. And throughout the whole thread, like, of her picture, it's just brothers coming together to show the brother, like, sending videos. Like, yo, this is how you change a tire, bro. And the sister was like, can you do this somewhere else? We're like, ain't nobody worried about you. Ain't nobody coming to see you. Oh, you see as a brother in need. That's how we have to be. Because guess what? Once we as brothers stop accepting and liking whores, that's what sisters do. Sisters to realize, well, modesty might go ahead.
I don't know what you were saying earlier. It's a lot of people in my school, like in both the grades, they take pride in passing the same girl around to each other, and that's something that is actually a lot popular, not only in my school, but other schools too. That I noticed.
It was popular when I was in high school too. It's popular on the planet. It's popular. I give you an example. Future the other day posted a video, right, of him and his homie, right, and the sister was like, "Yeah, I want you, Future." She was all on him. He was like, "No, you gotta be from us." And in my head, I'm like, this is the gayest shit. So I feel like, this is the gayest thing in the world. Like, what you mean you want her for everybody? I was if I may just expound this a little bit, we had a room on Clubhouse, right, where the card bars all had the title up that said, would you be okay with your woman having a side nigga? And you'd be surprised how many brothers was like, well, I don't really mind. And what threw us off is that it was a lot of sisters that came in there and said they prefer to be with one man. Meaning, if you a sister, you're supposed to be with one man. And brother, you can't be cool with your wife having other men. Like if you a man and you cool with passing around women, you know what I mean, and having orgies, you gay. Period. Point blank, period. Because that's Greek and African passing women and men around.
That's all you want another man in so close proximity when you having sex in.
Right.
You all the way around when I'm having sex in. You around here too.
Exactly. And take it a step further, right? Why would I want to place my rod somewhere where another man is placing his rod? Like that's I can't even fathom that. I can't. And they glorify that because rappers today glorify that. Like some brothers take pride in, yeah, I effed your girl, I did that. When really you thinking more about that nigga than you are that woman. Right. So What does that say about you and your character? Go ahead.
One thing, well, today's rappers, a lot of people that I listen to or anyone listens to is that if you listen to their lyrics, they always say that if I'm with a girl, she's not only with me, but she's with the crew or she's with the gang. She's not coming here just to hang with me.
Ain't no fun unless the homies have it. I know. That ain't nothing new, brother. This been going on for a long time, brother. But point blank period, it's wrong. It's wrong. Your woman was made for you, not for everybody else. You lay down with that sister, she's your wife. And guess what, sis? When you lay down with that brother, that's your husband. You can't have more than one, you know what I mean, brother? You can't have 4 or 5 side niggas. And guess what? And it goes to show you too, right? And this is another, thing for y'all young brothers out there. Yes, you can have multiple wives, but a lot of y'all brothers can't handle multiple wives. Right. A lot of y'all can't handle it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with you a brother, you only got the one rib, the one wife. Some brothers just, contemplating having, 2 wives. I'm trying to get like I married to everybody. He find time for all his ribs. But here's the thing, not everybody has that temperament. But you also have to understand and take accountability, because I can especially speak for your generation because I see it. I talk to a lot of young brothers. And the problem is you want to go out there, not saying you in particular, brother. Brothers, it seems like nowadays you just want to go out there and have irresponsible sex with no repercussions. And I'm telling you, all of that is going to catch up with you. The Lord is not with you if you out there passing women around and even you going out there being a whoremonger and throwing women away. Christ said it himself, man. He quoted, with Adam. Where a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave to his wife, and they become one flesh, meaning they become the one family unit. Now, you can have multiple family units with your ribs, but you got to take care of them. You can't be passing your women around to different brothers, because guess what? That not only destroys you, but that destroys the woman and the morale of her. You got a lot of sisters out here that's bitter and hurt because they've been passed around, when in reality, that should have never happened to them. They were only supposed to be with one brother. And a lot of those sisters would tell you, that one brother that she loved, the main reason why she did that is because she loved that one brother. But after she got passed around, what happened? That brother don't want you no more because you done went and had sex with him, had sex with him. But the moral of all this is we have to take accountability and understand the importance of what sex is and take the time to get to know one another. That's what I would suggest for the generation that's coming up today. And I say, YAHANNA for the Israelite school of I.S.U.P.K, because guess what? Let's say you come in here and you like a sister. Guess what? You're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait a year, brother. General Hyde said something to me when I was a trooper that was heavy. And I took it like it was scripture. He said, sometimes saying shalom to a sister is a lot. Let her come in here and learn. Right. Come in here and learn it. A time will come, if y'all truly like each other, it'll come together. Y'all come together, court each other, and marry one another and be that family. But what I can suggest to you brothers, continue to come to class, stay strong. You got a strong father, man, that's in here, that's working hard, and your mother. Now, you in the truth now. You can't be worried about what they doing in the world, like that's popular. Just because you're always in the world that's passing hoes around, don't mean you can do that, because you held to a higher standard, because you have something, that is more precious than anything and any brother or sister has in the world, and that is this truth. And you come with this truth because you want to go and follow after them in the world. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I said, one more thing as far as the whole whores topic. We were saying this in the I.S.U.P.K for years, but bottom line, when it comes down to it, many women are whores because men like it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what it just comes down to, similar things. Many of these women are whores, not just because it's fun to be a whore, because men like whores. And they know, women know, they act a certain way, they dress a certain way, they do certain things, more men will be attracted to. More men are likely to talk to a woman on the street. They got her behind hanging out before they talk to the woman that got a dress on and a head cover and minus a week. They'll talk to a woman that's half naked out in public before they talk to her. And black men, Hispanic men, we decided to get together and say, we're only going to deal with those sisters that are home. Only deal with those sisters who are not whores. Women would eventually have they want to be with anybody. If they want to have unless they want to be alone for the rest of their life, they would have to get with the program and understand the only way I'm going to get a man is if I act this way. The problem is that men right now are too weak to whores, too weak to the excitement, to the fun, to the lust of it. In order to do what's better for your life as a whole, which is pick a woman or pick women who want to be with you and only you. It might not be as exciting. It might not be as fun and thrilling as being with a whore. Trying to run out the house when her real man comes back home. That might not be exciting. That might not be as exciting as that. But it's what the Most High wants you to do, and it's what's safe in the long run. Right. Even with no knowledge of the Most High, we know living that type of lifestyle is what's going to keep you out of jail, keep you at the clinic. Not having kids and on child support with some monster of a woman. Right. That's the more sensible thing to do.
Comments. Like I said, I got a question.
I
just want to know if Genesis 3:16 would be in the same vein as what you're saying.
Genesis 3:16?
Comment.
You can read it slow.
Genesis, the 3rd chapter and the 16th verse. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
Okay, this scripture of course is talking about Eve and her punishment, or women's punishment for that went on to be women's punishment for disobeying the Most High. Okay, this scripture just goes into when a woman, like I said, a woman's punishment for going against the Most High. So in a sense, you could use the scripture to talk about simply more so women when you disobey God, or when Eve disobeyed God, or when women disobey God. These are the curses that come upon them, and still today they suffer these curses. And every time a woman disobeys God, it's like anybody who disobeys God, they're punished for it, they're cursed for it. So it's not necessarily on the whore topic, but it is on women and their disobedience to the Most High. And women, it's very easy for them to disobey God because they are the weaker vessel. It's easy for them to be beguiled by the snake, beguiled by the devil, and that's what happened to Eve. So this scripture is not specifically on the whore topic, but you can't use it to talk about women and their disobedience to the Most High.
If I may, so I think a better precept award would be Deuteronomy 28 and verse 56, where it says, the tender and delicate woman amongst you will not venture to set her sole of her foot on the ground, and delicate and tender. Her eyes shall be evil towards her husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter. That'd be, that's what I would go to show like the enmity between like the husband and the wife now. Because now, the woman, now your eye is evil towards your husband, and it's evil towards your children. Not only, if you're treating that brother like trash, you're going out, you're sleeping with different men, and you're leaving the kids at your mama's house, going to the club, doing whatever. I would use that. That would be good.
You want to come on?
I'm slow. Yeah, I'm not sure.
You can state your registry. You can state your registry, your name, but your YAHANNA, but your SHALAM.
My name is YAHANNA, YAHANNA,
But your SHALAM.
YAHANNA.
You want to but YAHANNA, but your SHALAM.
Yahweh Shemiyah Shabrakatah.
You can come on first.
How are you with the Hebrew? Oh, you got to say, yeah. Ashwan Kodash. You know what I mean? This is our culture. This is our language. You know, fake Israelites and Christians say, well, you ain't got to know the Hebrew. Forget all that garbage, man. That right there is our language. That Hebrew, this is ours. The Lord gave this to us, man. From Abraham, from Adam, from Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Like, this is our language. This is our culture. You know what I mean? The heathens have their language. You know what I mean? Chinese speaking in that. You know what I mean? What's all that? Whatever that stuff means, we got our language, man. And let's make sure, you know what I mean, we're taking the time out today to learn and study. That was it.
Like I said, like you died saying, so important that the Sabbath service in particular, it's so important to take the time to learn the Hebrew. The Sabbath service, during the Sabbath, we take the time to essentially give people an introduction to Israelite culture, particularly the Bible. The Bible is Old Testament, our history, our laws, along with our language. That's what the whole thing is patterned over. Of course, we observe the Sabbath, our day of rest, our day away from work that the Most High gave us. But on top of that, what we're doing is taking young brothers who may be young spiritually, meaning you just coming into the truth, and or young physically, meaning maybe you was raised in the truth, and now you come to the Sabbath service, and you come in here, and this essentially forces you to learn the Hebrew, forces you to open up the Bible, learn the history, learn the laws. Everything we do is bringing brothers up, staying your registry, all that, like I said, to give you an introduction into the culture, particularly the laws and the language. What is it,
Verse 22, Cap.
around 22 and 22.
I
And what am I going to?
believe it's verse 28, sir.
Yeah. Kaya, Yum, Tazara, Aya, Shah, Shaka, Ba, Ain, Ashaha, Ba'ayla, Sa, Ba'ayla, Wam, Sawa, Lam, Shana, Waham, Ha'a, Yasha, Hasha, Ka, Ba, Ain, Ha'a, Ha'a, Shaha, Waha, A, Shaha, Waba, Ira, Sa, Hara, Maya, Sha, A, it's like Ra, Maya, Shar, Al, Maya, Sha'ala, Kaya, Yahweh, no, somebody else. Yaha, Na'ira, Latha, Laha, Ra, Shaha, Yasha, Wama, Tazar, Raha, Ayasha, Ba'ayra, Washa, Ka, Ba, Amaha, Wahawa, Tazara, Thumb, Af, Shania, Al, Sha'ar, Ha'ai, Yara, Ha, Hawa, Wasa, Kwa, Latham, Athama, Banad, Yum, Wama, Thawat, As, Hana, Ira, Al, Dabara, Athara, La'a, Tazai, Kwaha, Ba'ai, Yura, Wa'atha, Ha'a, Yatha, Yashak, Al, Dabara, Asherah, Ainaha, As, Ashatha, Ra'ai, Hawa, Waba'ai, Atha, Hara'ai, Makwara, Baka, Wa'ama, Basha, Daha, Yamat Taza'a, Ha'a, Yasha, Af, Hana, Ira, Hama, Rashaha, Wakaza, Yakwa, Baha, Ha'a, Yasha, Washa, Kaba, Einha, I'm about to come over to some others. Masa, Ha'a, Yasha, Ashara, Shakara, Einha, Labawa, Walana, Ira, La'a, La'ai, Shaha, Dabara,
All phones on mute.
Ayana, Lana, Ira, Ka, Tara, Mawatha. Sorry, I'm in the middle of verse 26. Kaya, Ka'a, Sharas, Yakwa, Wama, Yasha, Al, Ra'ai Hawa, Wa'ataza, Kawa, Napasha, Kana, Hadabara, Hazaha, verse 27, Kaya, Basha, Daha, Kaza, Basha, Daha, Mataza, Aha, Mataza, Ai, Kwaha, Hana, Ira, Hama, Ra, Shaha, Wa'ayana, Mawa, Sha'ai, Ya'ai, Laha, Kaya, Tazara, I.S.U.P.K, Naira, Bathawa, Laha, Ashara, La'a, Ara Shaha, Watha, Bashaha, Washaha, Washa, Kara, Anha, Wanama, Tazar, Wa. That's the one that you're going to read from Deuteronomy 22 and 22. We're going to stop at 28.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shalt thou put away evil from Israel.
This right here is showing a penalty for adultery. Penalty for adultery, which is a man having sex with another man's wife, or on the flip side, a wife stepping out on her husband having sex with a man that's outside of her husband. Read from the top one more time, verse 22.
Verse 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die.
Both of them die. Both of them going to die. So if a man has sex with another man's woman, he will die as long as the woman, the adulterer and adulteress. We don't.
Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shalt thou put away evil from Israel.
And through this, we're going to put away evil from Israel, because obviously, because somebody, so as you would say, cheating on their husband, causes strife and anger and envy in Israel. And people that do that, the women that step outside their marriage, a man that try to take another man's wife, those people need to be, like I said before, shunned from our community. Because, like I said before, of course, the law says they should die. They should die for those sins. We know through Christ that those people now today, they shouldn't be killed. They do deserve a chance to fix their life and learn something new. But still, as a people, we shouldn't accept those type of things in our community. Because according to the Bible, these people should be put to death. And it's only for Christ that they're not getting destroyed now, that they now have a second chance to learn how to do the right thing.
And if I may, sir, just expound on what you're saying, and also to let the Christians out there know, when they like to bring up, Christ with the woman that committed adultery. What did Christ tell that woman after, those men did not stone her? Christ, convicted them. Go ahead.
Go that way and sin no more.
Sin no more. They like to leave that part out. Christ ain't say, go continue to be a hoe. Christ ain't say, go continue to step out on your husband. No. Christ said, go and sin no more. Just because Christ came, and died so we can come back, to the Most High, does not give you a license to continue to be a sinner. Right. Meaning sin no more. Meaning we're not supposed, to still be committing adultery and being whores and whoremongers. That was it.
Yeah, and that example was beautiful, because it's a small example of what Christ did on a larger scale. He saved us from the judgments of the law, the judgments of the Most High, not so we can forever be sinners, but so we can learn how to do the right thing. He gave us a second chance, essentially. But that second chance, like I said, it's a second chance, a chance to do the right thing. Right. Not just a free for all, so you can do whatever you feel like doing, but a second chance to learn how to follow the Most High, to learn how to not be an adulterer, to learn how to not get hot, to learn your culture and how you should live your life, and learn your discipline and the laws of the Most High.
If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city, and lie with her, then he shall bring them both out into the midst of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones, lest they die.
And then this scripture is talking about specifically. This is talking about a man lying down with a sister who was already betrothed, meaning already promised to somebody else. So like we brought out earlier in class, traditionally, a father, when his daughter is of marriageable age, he'll marry her off to somebody. He'll come to an agreement with the brother and say, you give me this, you do this for me, you give me some money. You work for a certain amount of time, a certain amount of years, this, that, the third. And at the end of that, you're gonna marry my daughter. And when a father and a prospective husband make that agreement, that prospective husband or that brother is promised or betrothed to that man's daughter. We today would call it engaged, meaning we're not officially married yet, but we're courting, where we're in the process of us being officially married.
Right.
This scripture is saying that if a man goes to a woman who's betrothed, meaning already promised, already supposed to be married off to somebody else, if you go to that woman and you have sex with her, and she's betrothed to somebody else, y'all are going to be treated just like those adulterers, and you're going to be put to death in stones. We're going to start reading it again from verse 23.
Verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto her husband, and the man find her in the city, and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out into the gates of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city.
The damsel means that she cried out. Part of law, in our tradition, is when if a woman is being assaulted, if she's being raped, she is to cry out. She's to cry out. So we all know that the sex is about to happen is not consensual. And that's the proof. This sister, she lied with a man, and she didn't cry out. This sex was consensual sex, you know.
Because he had humbled his neighbor's wife. So thou shalt put away evil from among you.
So once again, this is a death penalty offense, and those people are going to be killed because it's akin to adultery.
But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die.
But this is a scripture against rape. If a man goes to a woman and he forces a woman, he rapes a woman, he goes with it. This isn't consensual sex. This isn't sex that the woman wanted, but the man forced himself on the woman and raped her. In that case, only the man is a sin. Only the man can commit a sin. He shall be stoned and he'll be killed for his crime. You know.
But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing.
That sister that was raped, she didn't do anything crime. She was abused. She was assaulted. You know.
There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor, he slayeth him. Even so is that matter.
And that means that rape, that sexual assault is akin to murder. And that's how important that is and how severe that is to a woman and to a community. When you allow sexual assault and rape to prevail, it's like killing a woman. It's just like that. It's the next close thing to putting her to death is rape. And for that, a man that does it, he's going to be killed. He's going to be put to death because it's just like it's akin to murder, especially in a time in a culture where who you have sex with is so important. Who you give your body to is so important. For a man to take a woman's body, it's like murder. It's like killing her. To know that somebody forced themselves on her, and that brother's going to be put to death. You know?
For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was no one to save her.
Once again, if a woman is being assaulted, if a man is coming up against her, she is to cry out, she is to fight. And that's what you do in Israelite culture. You don't just sit there and take it and wait for it. So wait till it's over. If you're a woman and a man comes up against you and tries to assault you, you fight, you scream, and Lord willing, somebody will hear you. Somebody will hear you fight, see you scream, But if nobody is there to save you, you know.
If a man
But
finds
if nobody is there to save you in that time, as the time goes on, once it's proven what happened, that brother will be put to death. Look, if something happens like that to you, I would hope that the sister would be able to get help in the time in that moment. But if not, you got to fight. If not, that sister got to yell and scream. And afterwards, if the cat is successful in what he was trying to do, then he's gonna be put to death once he's found out.
If I can add one small thing to that, an excellent example of that would be Susanna.
Right.
When Susanna cried out, when them two evil brothers, tried, to have sex with her and rape her. And Susanna cried out, and they ended up lying, saying, "Oh man, we saw her with somebody else." Well, you know what I mean? But the prophet Daniel, who was young at the time, being a wise brother, they would come to the determination, like, all right, what tree did you find her under? All right, that tree, you about to die, right? Ask the other brother, he said a completely different tree. So if you a sister, you definitely have to cry out and just to add something, to it. And what Kat Ariel was explaining, it is a heinous act, to do to a woman, to rape her, man. And that's what makes them cats, in GMS so foul and disgusting. And people like polite to be so evil, man, because these are the things that go unnoticed in our communities, man. And this is why, I want to say to Wado, for Commander General Yohanna, the UPK, because we bring these issues to light, in our communities. Right. We bringing it out right here in the Bible saying, rape is wrong. You got other people that try to justify it, even in today's culture. You got people today that try to justify it, and there's no justifiable rape, period. I believe Nasty Nate said that there was justifiable rape. If I'm not mistaken, y'all seen that video? When Nate himself said where there was a justifiable rape, there ain't no such thing.
I think they said if it's your wife.
Even if it's your wife. No, man, you can't do that. Which goes to show you, man, that they don't have the spirit of the Lord. They don't have the truth. You can only find that truth right here in the UPK. That was it,
Come. And like Yadiah is saying, well, when I was thinking about when you was bringing that up, is that all the other things that people like to do. People like being down. People like being gay. People like being a whore, having sex with a lot of women, having sex with whores. That type of lifestyle, rape and sexual assault goes hand in hand, and people forget that. People think that you can just have some hoes and no rape is going to happen in society. No sexual assault is going to happen. You can have some homosexuality and no child molestation is going to happen. That's not how it works. Child molestation, rape, sexual assault goes hand in hand with being a whore, being a homosexual. It's once you open that door and have that much sexual freedom, who's like to say that a man shouldn't have sex with a child? Who's like to say that woman should most definitely have sex with that man, no matter how she feels in the moment? Once you open that door to having so much sexual freedom, it breeds way to things that we all can agree are wrong, like child molestation, like sexual assault, like rape. You want to say something?
Yeah, I can agree too because I'm in the military and I know a young man who is gay. But when I sat down and talked to him about the child, he was actually molested by his father. And so a lot of times people don't actually talk about how a lot of people who are used sexually will actually touch on the rest of it. They actually another part of it. They become promiscuous or they become or they have degenerate sex. And so a lot of those people actually like that kids.
Right, and like she's saying so powerful because people forget that many people, especially in the black and Hispanic community, that are gay, that are homosexuals, those people, many of them, if not most of them, have been sexually assaulted, have been molested at a young age. Many of them, and that's what leads them to that type of behavior. And homosexuals, they not just homosexuals aren't just trying to get married and find somebody to live, find another man to live their life with. Often they're even as gay people having sex with a bunch of other gay people because it's a deviancy. It's not always just I just want to find another man, another woman to be with. That's not what it comes down to. Right. Those people often are sick with the amount of sex they're having because it's a deviancy and it often stems from trauma as a child. Often. Like I said, those things go hand in hand with all the things that we love, that people in America love to do. Right. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
if I could, so we have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is from DeVal. He says, I know the Day of Atonement is coming up. This is my first one being a student of UPK. How do you stay disciplined in the endeavor, and what time does it start?
The Day of Atonement starts Wednesday next week, sundown. Wednesday next week, sundown, and it ends the next sundown, the next day when the sun goes down on the 16th on Thursday. 24-hour fast. You can't eat or drink for that time period. And the brother said, he said,
how do you stay disciplined in the endeavor?
how do you stay disciplined in endeavor? When it comes down to it, you gotta find the mental fortitude to do it.
Right.
And it's really, the way I see it, it's not much secret to self-control. And the Day of Atonement is an exercise in self-control. It's an exercise in denying yourself of something that's a basic, essential to life. So in the future, in the future you can deny things that you don't need, that you shouldn't have, like all the sin that we are all trying to find a way out of, that America tries to push on us every day. Like I said, it's an exercise in discipline. It's an exercise in self-control. What you want to do on the Day of Atonement? Do what you would do on any Wednesday. That's what you do. That's what the brother that's asking the question. That's what you should do. Work it out like whatever you usually do on Wednesday. Do that on Wednesday. You go to work on Wednesday. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. You work out on Wednesday. Go ahead and work out. Live your regular life like you do any other day. But today you're just not going to eat. Today you're just not going to drink for this 24-hour period. And focus in on that. Like I said, there's not much secret to self-control. When it comes down to it, you just got to know that right now, for these 24 hours, eating is a sin.
Right.
Drinking water is a sin. Drinking water is like eating pork for these 24 hours.
Right.
Eating some chicken for them 24 hours is like eating a crab leg. It's like any other sin in the Bible. You got to have the mental fortitude and the focus. Like I said, that day, just do what you would do any other Wednesday. Just forget about food, forget about water, and get up, wash, clean, brush your teeth, do everything you would do on any other Wednesday, but today you're not going to eat or drink.
So on that, is gum considered eating on that day?
Gum, gum will be considered eating. Because I think you taking when you chew gum, you're taking in some of that sugar and whatnot that's in the gum.
It's Wednesday sundown to Thursday sundown, right? So we can eat, Wednesday.
You can eat Wednesday up until sundown. When the sun go down, you done until the next day, the next sundown, the next day. So it's about 24 hours. Sun go down on Wednesday, you go to sleep, wake up, go throughout your day. Then the sun will go down on Thursday, and that's when the fast is over, and that's when you can begin to eat and drink. Like I said, it's just it takes a mental fortitude, especially your first couple of times doing it. But you just gotta focus in on it, and you can't make it. You gotta minimize it. That's why I said just go out and do whatever you do with any other day. Because you can't act like I'm gonna just sit in the house and just try not to eat nothing. No, just go out and do what you would do any other day, and just focus in on adhering to the hour.
Slavish, on Thursday afternoon, like the end of the fast, are we gonna all break the fast together?
I believe it's gonna be a service. It's gonna be closing. It's a closing and
Usually we
opening and closing.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's closing, but I do know there will be food at the school if you want to come to the school.
Yeah, if you want to come to school, you definitely bring food when to the school. Should be food here. And they never tell me to say this in case. Day of Atonement is only for typically people that are sick, like people that need to eat every day in order to live. They are exempt from the Day of Atonement. Pregnant women, young children are exempt from the Day of Atonement. People like that. Typically, people with health issues, pregnant women, and young children. So somebody that's younger than somebody that's below, somebody that's 12 and below typically wouldn't do the Day of Atonement. Go ahead.
Like, sir, isn't nursing mothers
So like you're right. The nursing mothers as well. Man, women that's pregnant and women that's still breastfeeding their children, they don't do the Day of Atonement. They're exempt from it. They don't do it. Children, young children, and people that's got different ailments, different sicknesses, where they may have to eat and drink. They can't take it off. But yeah, like I said, and everybody else that's fully able to do it, that's of age and whatnot, they have to do it from Wednesday, sundown to Thursday, sundown. Any other question?
This is from Officer.
Go ahead.
Oh, this is from Officer Malakia. So the Day of Atonement is kind of like the Lord giving us a clean slate every year.
The day of atonement. I don't think about it like that. If you think about it like that, you'll be sitting all year up until the Day of Atonement, and that's when you're gonna be clean. The Day of Atonement is a day for you to atone for your sins, for the mistakes you may have made in your past. You fast, you pray, you observe the Day of Atonement, and so the Most High can forgive you for your sins. But do not think about it like a clean slate every year. That's not what this is. That's not what this is. Hopefully the Lord, if you got this sinning, hopefully the Lord give you a clean slate. Hopefully he'll help you. But don't think you can sin all year, fast on the Day of Atonement, and then all the sin you did for the past 12 months is gone. That's not how this works. It's not how this works. But it is a day to atone for your sins, to make up for your sins and the mistakes you made in your past, and ask for forgiveness of the Most High. But I would never call the Day of Atonement a clean slate. Take one or two more in the room.
Is there a scripture that describes the image of an angel?
Yes, it's two. It's Ezekiel.
Ezekiel 1. Who's that by? Ezekiel 1 5 through 7.
Is it one of Daniel too?
Right.
Daniel. So what's the one in Daniel?
I know the one where Samson's mother says that it was terrified.
Right. Yeah.
I believe it was one in Ezekiel 1 and 5. I will start you off with that.
Right.
Ezekiel 1 and 5. Howard, did you have a question?
I was going to say, the Day of Atonement is found in the book of Leviticus.
Come. Yeah, if anybody will look into it, there'll be a service Wednesday. It'll be broadcasted Wednesday night. This upcoming Wednesday. But the book of Atonement is in the book of Leviticus. You said 11th chapter, right?
23rd chapter.
23rd chapter. The book of Leviticus 20. If you want to look into it, but there'll be a service. There'll be a service Wednesday night on the Day of Atonement. Yeah, Ezekiel 1 and 5.
So just a minute, Victor. Come.
YAHANNA means to Israel, so we've taken a drink for Israel. Sister, you can sit, but all the brothers will line up. You're going to salute the Torah.
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barak Yah.
I.S.U.P.K, Barak Yah, which means Yahweh in the name of Christ, bless me. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak Yah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Barak Yah.
And right now, what you saluted the Torah, and then the first 5 books in Hebrew. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak Yah, wrapped up in the scroll. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak Yah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Barak Yah. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Barak Yah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak Yah.
You got it, my brother.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak Yah.
No, hold on.
We'll follow up the double, turn to face the east. This is Almighty. This is stand. We pray, we lift up our holy hands. This is the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Abinawa, Shemayim, Dash, Ayat, Shamka, Yahweh, Lakduka, Akazayaka, Ayat, Aisha, Arataza, Ayat, Shemayim, none it out. Come, Salak now, Amalak now, Salak now. Allah, you know. Allah, be iron out. On the side one. Oh, shine out. Ayun. Right. Ayun. I'm the Lakwa. Allah. I'm the power. I'm on.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Our Father which art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
In earth. As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day.
Our daily bread.
Our daily bread.
Give us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
We forgive our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not.
And lead us not
To temptation.
into temptation.
Deliver us from evil.
But deliver us from evil.
Thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory. Forever.
So be it.
So be it. Let's pray for our God, the power. In the Hebrew, Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Hashem Yahushua.
Hashem Yahushua.
Baruch Bashar. Let it out. Akah. Abraham. Makala. Akah Manawa. Akah. Atahor. Amatazah Ryan. Akah. Al-Hakim. Al-Mafia. Akah. Al-Awaf. Amatala Allah. Garshan. Hashem Yahushua. Wada Amun.
Yahweh in the name of Yahushua.
Yahweh in the name of Yahushua.
Please give us the power.
Please give us the power.
Power to heal.
Power to heal.
All manner of sickness.
All manner of sickness.
And all manner of disease.
And all manner of disease.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to raise the dead.
The power to raise the dead.
The power against the unclean spirits.
The power against unclean spirits.
To cast them out.
To cast them out.
In the name of Yahushua.
In the name of Yahushua.
Thank you. So be it.
So be it. It's the prayer to bless Israel. In Hebrew, Yahweh. Hashem Yahushua.
Hashem Yahushua.
YAHANNA. SHALAM. YAHANNA. Sapari. Hashem Yahushua.
Hashem Yahushua.
Wada Amun.
Yahweh in the name of Yahushua.
Yahweh in the name of Yahushua.
Bless us.
Bless us.
In Israel.
And Israel.
And the school.
And the school.
In the name of Yahushua.
In the name of Yahushua.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it. Pray for blessings. Barak Yahweh. surrender. According to Isaiah. Akahayim. Ahapapim. Yahweh. Hashem Yahushua. Walamut.
In the English. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahushua. And Michael. And the angel. Commanded General Yahanna. The general. The captain. The officer. The troopers. And the sisters. Yahweh, the name Yahushua. Thank you. So be it.
In Psalms 121 in the Hebrew, I.S.U.P.K.
I will lift up my eyes into the heavens. What's coming my help? Coming from the Lord. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee. He will not slumber. He that keepeth Israel. Shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day. Nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out. And thy coming in. This time forth, even forevermore.
Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. I.S.U.P.K. YAHANNA. Yashikor, Sham Yasha'ala, Iwada, Kaya, Nawatazawa, Allah, Yakadwa, Awyuka, Oya, Yarkapwa, Alayub, Awum, Yashima, Ayum, Mala Abu, Magori, the ball, I'm one, I'm a lot. I.S.U.P.K. Abdishabia, Tazawar, Mashawar, Alawah, Ayuwa, Zawah, Apanyalawah, Salat, Aishalahum, Madyan, Kasaya Sarat, Kayabasla, Kayabyan, Onakar, Yashwan, Nashanaikwa, Ayun, Hayua, Aman, Hadma, Sayakamwa, Ada, Yadmawa, Korad, Wakaza Abba, Wakaza Ba, Wakaza Manat, Al Nasiya Kunwa, Ashur, Morwa, Ashra, Nawa, Afwa, Ahayum, Ahayum, Shayakumwa. Gogula. Wash. Lapanya Rakah. Lapanya Rakah. Ash. Iria. Wakalabah. Aria. Dogma. Irika. Wapaka. Malak. Panya. One. Wayabakwashwa. Shanka. Bashwa. Malawa. Aida. Wayakaporwa. Aiba. Wayadadawa. Kayata. Shanka. Abadka. Iwan. Alkaraza.
In English? Keep not thy silence on your house.
Keep not thy silence on your house.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still on your house.
And be not still on your house.
For lo, my enemies make a tumble. And they that hate thee. Have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel. Against thy people. And consulted. Against thy hidden one. They have said, come, let us cut them off. From being a nation. In the name of Israel. And be no more. In remembrance. For they have consulted together. With one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom. The Ishmaelites. Moab. And the Hagarenes. The Moab. And Ammon. And Amalek. The Philistines. With the inhabitants of Tyre. As-Shur also adjoined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah. Do unto them. As unto the Midianites. As to Sisera. As to Jabin. Brook of Kishon. Which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like a ram. All their princes. As Zabah. And as Zamuna. And who said, let us take you ourselves. The house of your house. Possession. Oh my power. Make them like a wheel. As the stubble before the wind. As the fire burned the wood. And as the flame set the mountains on fire. So persecute them. Thy tents. And make them afraid. Thy stone. Fill their faces with shame. They may seek thy name. Oh Yahweh. Let me be confounded. And choke forever. Let me put to shame. That men may know. Whose name alone. Is Yahweh. The Most High. All here. Sisters, can you see? Sisters, can you see? One courteous salute for the brothers. Many brothers are Bob Shabbat. I imagine. Rock. Back in the top, hands down. Sisters, I imagine. Many brothers are solitary faces sisters. We'll give one courteous salute for the sisters. about Shabbat.